Hey friends, and welcome back to Figgy in the North, the podcast where we talk about Iceland the way you'd hear it from a friend who just got back and can't stop talking about it. I'm Figgy, and today we're tackling the heavyweight champion of Iceland travel routes, the Golden Circle. If you've been to Iceland, you've done it. If you're going to Iceland, you're planning it. And if you live in Iceland, you've probably driven it while arguing about where to stop for snacks. The Golden Circle is one of those places people sometimes dismiss as too touristy, and honestly, that's a little unfair. Because yes, it's popular, but it's also wildly beautiful, historically important, and absolutely worth your time, especially if you know how to slow it down and make it feel personal. So today, we're going to do exactly that. I'll walk you through the classic stops, tell you why they matter, share a few moments that made me fall in love with this route, and then give you extra stops that turn the Golden Circle from a checklist into an experience. Grab a coffee, imagine you're in a tiny rental car with heated seats, and let's go. What the Golden Circle actually is. The Golden Circle is a loop that starts and ends in Reykjavik, and it's usually the very first road trip people do in Iceland. It's about 250 kilometers total, which sounds like a lot, but in Iceland, distances are deceptive. You're not driving for hours without seeing anything. You're driving for 10 minutes and then pulling over because something looks unreal. Most people do it in a single day, anywhere from 6 to 10 hours, depending on how many stops you make, how many times you pull over for just one photo, and how long you accidentally spend in the gift shop. The three main stops are Thingvellir National Park, the Geyser geothermal area, and Gullfoss Waterfall. But between those, that's where the magic sneaks in. Stop number 1, Thingvellir National Park. Thingvellir is one of those places where you arrive and immediately realize, oh, this isn't just pretty, this is important. This is where Iceland's parliament, the Alþingi, was founded in 930 AD, almost 1100 years ago. No buildings, no microphones, just people standing out in the open air arguing about laws, justice, and survival. And honestly, the setting makes sense. Thingvellir feels dramatic in a quiet way. Wide open spaces, lava fields covered in soft moss, cliffs that look like they were pulled apart, because they were. This park sits right on the boundary between the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates. They're still drifting apart today, about the speed your fingernails grow, slow but relentless. Walking through Almannagjá Gorge feels like walking through a scar in the earth. You're technically stepping between continents, which sounds fake until you're actually doing it. There's a moment here, especially early in the morning or on a misty day, where everything goes quiet. The crowds thin out, the wind picks up, and you suddenly feel very small in the best possible way. A few things not to rush here: Öxarárfoss, a waterfall that feels like it's hiding, views over Thingvallavatn, Iceland's largest lake, and the sheer weirdness of being a place where history and geology collide. And if you're feeling brave, or just very curious, there's Silva Fissure. Snorkeling in Silva is cold, like, why am I doing this cold? But the water is so clear it feels like you're flying. You can see for over 100 meters, between continents in glacial water. Unlike other snorkeling experiences, you can't expect to see any sea life, but it's unforgettable in its own unique way. On the road between stops. One thing I love about the Golden Circle is the driving itself. You'll pass horses just standing there, judging you, steam rising from the ground with no warning, and tiny churches that look like they belong in a snow globe. This is when Iceland sneaks up on you. Not at the big stops, but when you're alone on the road, windows cracked, heater on, wondering how a place can look this unreal and still feel lived in. Stop number 2, Geyser geothermal area. Ah, yes, the stop that smells like rotten eggs, but delivers every time. This area is named after Geyser, the original geyser, the one that gave geysers their name. Geyser itself is mostly dormant now, which feels wrong, honestly. But then there's Strokr. Strokr erupts every 5 to 10 minutes like clockwork. There's something very entertaining about watching a crowd slowly gather, cameras ready, everyone pretending they're not excited, and then collectively gasping. You'll see the water bubble up into this perfectly blue dome before it explodes upward. My advice? Don't watch it through your phone the first time. Just watch it. Feel it. Then get your phone out on the next eruption. You won't have to wait long. Wander around a bit too. The smaller vents, the bubbling mud, the earth literally hissing at you. It feels alive there. Slightly chaotic, very Icelandic. Some say don't bother if you've been to Yellowstone in the US, but I disagree. I've been to both personally and still find Geyser well worth the stop. Stop number 3, Gullfoss, the showstopper. And then, Gullfoss. If Thingvellir is thoughtful and Geyser is playful, Gullfoss is pure power. You hear it before you see it. A deep, constant roar. Then, suddenly, the land drops away, and there it is. Water crashing into a canyon like it's trying to escape the earth. Gullfoss isn't delicate. It doesn't trickle or shimmer. It thunders. On sunny days, rainbows arc through the mist. On cloudy days, it feels moody and intense. In winter, it freezes into something almost unreal. This is one that pulls at my heartstrings every time. Maybe it's because it was the first waterfall I saw in Iceland, but overall, I think it's just the pure magic of the place. There's a story here, too, about a woman named Sigríður who fought to protect the waterfall from being turned into a hydroelectric plant. She started to throw herself into the falls if construction began. There was a long legal battle that she ultimately lost, but the lease was canceled anyway, so Gullfoss stands. Take your time here. Walk the pass. Get misted. Let it impress you. Extra stops that change everything. This is where the Golden Circle stops feeling like a tour route and starts feeling like your trip. These are the places that slow you down, surprise you, and, let's be honest, end up being the stories you tell people when you get home. Kerith Crater, color in a land of neutrals. Kerith is one of those places that makes you pull over and say, wait, what color is that? It's a volcanic crater, about 3,000 years old, which by Iceland standards is basically brand new. The rock around it is this deep rusty red, and the bottom sits a lake that shifts from turquoise to deep blue depending on the light. What makes Kerith special is how accessible it is. You can walk the rim in about 10 to 15 minutes, or hike down to the water itself and stand right at the edge. There's something oddly peaceful about being inside a crater. The wind dies down, the sound changes, and it feels tucked away, even when other people are around. Figgy tip, go late in the afternoon if you can. The colors pop more, and it's quieter once the big tour buses have moved on. Next is the Secret Lagoon, Gamla Laugin, Iceland before the hype. If the Blue Lagoon is Iceland's celebrity spa, the Secret Lagoon is its older, slightly grumpier cousin, and I mean that in the best way. Located in the small village of Hlúðr, this is one of Iceland's oldest swimming pools, built in 1891. It's simple, rustic, and surrounded by steaming earth. The water stays around 38 to 40 degrees Celsius, which means it's perfect after walking around in cold wind all day. But it's dangerous in the sense that you will not want to leave. There's a short walking path around the pool, where you can see a tiny geyser that erupts every few minutes, steam rising straight out of the ground, and moss-covered rocks that look like something out of a fantasy novel. This is the kind of place where locals still come to relax, not pose. You soak, you chat quietly, you watch the steam drift into the sky. Figgy tip, bring a towel if you can. Rentals are available, but having your own feels very Icelandic. Next is the Friðheimar Tomato Farm. Geothermal magic and soup. Yes, a tomato farm in Iceland. And yes, it's as incredible as it sounds. Friðheimar uses geothermal energy to grow tomatoes year-round in massive greenhouses. When you walk in, the smell hits you first. Warm plants, earth, and basil. Bees are buzzing around, but don't worry, they're too busy to bother with visitors. Lunch here usually means unlimited tomato soup, fresh bread, butter made with Icelandic herbs, and the quiet realization that tomato soup can be a life-changing experience. You're seated among the plants themselves, with vines growing above and around you. Outside, it might be snowing sideways. Inside, it's summer. They also sell tomato beer, tomato ice cream, and tomato everything. It's quirky, cozy, and deeply Icelandic in its we'll make it work energy. Figgy tip. Reservations are strongly recommended. The place is popular for a reason. But if you can't land a reservation, try the wine bar next door. They're open later and don't require reservations. Brurfoss, the bluest water you'll see all day. Brurfoss isn't the biggest waterfall in the Golden Circle, not even close, but it might be the most striking. The water here is fed by glacial melt, and it's this unreal shade of electric blue that looks photoshopped in real life. Getting there requires a short hike if you choose the newer parking lot close to the falls. The walk itself is part of the experience, quiet, flat, and peaceful, especially compared to the bigger stops. Or, if you're feeling more adventurous, you can park closer to the main road and take the 7-kilometer round-trip hike. This hike takes 2 to 3.5 hours depending on your speed, and winds along the river. You'll see a few more waterfalls along the way, but please be careful and don't get too close to the river. When you reach the falls, the water splits into multiple narrow streams rushing through dark volcanic rock, creating the sharp contrast that photographers lose their minds over. Figgy tip. This is a great stop if you want something quieter and more reflective. Just watch your footing. The rocks can be slippery. Efstadalr Dairy Farm. Ice cream with a view. Efstadalr is proof that sometimes the best travel moments involve snacks. This working dairy farm sits right along the Golden Circle route and produces its own milk, skyr, and ice cream, all on site. You can sit inside with a big window looking directly into the cow barn. Yes, the cows will stare back. And yes, it's charming. The ice cream is rich, simple, and perfect after a chilly walk. Flavors are classic and done well. Vanilla, chocolate, seasonal berries, or if you're more adventurous, black licorice. It's not flashy, it's cozy, and it's a perfect reminder that Iceland is as much about everyday life as it is about epic landscapes. Figgy tip, this is an ideal late day stop. Ice cream tastes better when you've earned it. A few honorable mentions. If you have extra time or want to swap things around, consider the following. Skálholt, a historic church site and former cultural center of Iceland. Foxy, also called Vatnsleysufos, which I probably butchered. It's a wide, gentle waterfall, often missed by tour buses. And Laugarvatn, geothermal baths with a lake view and rye bread baked in the ground. Why these stops matter. These extras do something important. They break up the day, give you breathing room, and let Iceland feel less like a checklist and more like a place. They're where conversations happen, where you warm up, where you stop checking the clock and just start being there. The Golden Circle isn't just a route. It's an introduction to Iceland's landscape, its history, and its personality. Yes, it's popular. Yes, you'll share it with other travelers. But if you slow down, take a few detours, and let the place surprise you, it becomes something more than a day trip. It becomes the moment Iceland clicks. Thanks for spending part of your journey with me here on Figgy in the North. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's dreaming about Iceland right now. Next time, we'll head a little farther along the south coast, hitting all the great spots that make Iceland really special. Until then, drive safe, pack layers, and never skip the ice cream. This is Figgy, and I'll see you next time in the North.